We're joined today by Kirk Muhl of the Lexington Eagles. How you doing today, Coach?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. So we're now here in well, whoever decides when the season starts says it's not summer yet. Obviously, doesn't live in Texas, but we're now here in the late spring, early summer. School year's out, so you've got to see your kids all the way through the winter, all the way through the spring, competing in all those sports and other UIL competitions in the weight room. How'd the spring go in Lexington?
Spring was good. We had a good, turnout with our, you know, before, after school, with the weights and track and everything going on. Our track team grew this year dramatically, and that's always a good sign, especially, for football end of things because they're out there competing and, making themselves faster and stronger. So, the spring was good for us.
Now, your 707 team has qualified for 707 state, which by the time this interview is published, probably will have happened. But regardless, you're a big supporter of 7 on 7. You go to the trouble of hosting tournaments, which is a hassle. So I can tell you support it. Just kind of give us an overview of why you think 7 on 7 is important and how it helps your team in the fall.
I think it's just important because it gets them playing, just all the reps that he gets them playing late in the spring. Especially at our level, we don't get to have the spring football and things like that. So 7 on 7 basically takes the place of that as far as throwing and catching and running routes and understanding what we're doing. So I think it plays a major factor in our eye-hand coordination and our ability for our quarterback to be on the same page as our receivers and everything. And it also helps, defensively with just, your hips and everything else. All the drills that you try to get into in practice, you can get into full game mode with somebody competing against you. And anytime that you're competing, you're going to be getting better.
All right. Now, so let's talk about a little bit about what the Eagles might look like on the field this fall. Who you losing to graduation? Who's coming back? Who might fill new roles this fall?
Well, of course, we lose Dalen Washington. He's graduating, going to play college football in Missouri. We lose, a couple of linemen in there. So the biggest roles we're going to have to fill are going to be the couple of offensive line spots, and then we're going to have some of our receivers step up in those receiving roles. We were, kind of blessed because we were young, real young last year, and those kids have really been in the weight room and they've gotten a lot stronger. So I think overall, our receiving is going to be stronger. We might not have the elite kid that with that speed out there yet, but overall, I think it's going to be better just because all the kids are back and they're a year stronger and faster than what they were. And, they understand the offense a whole lot more also because, I think there was 2 or 3 freshmen that started for us out there. So I think it's going to get better for us.
Now, when I was out there last fall, we talked after the game. You had a young defensive back that wasn't the starter, was starting due to injuries and had multiple interceptions in a game. And that's the kind of your thing. You got a lot of playing time for some of your younger kids last year.
Yes, that's it. The biggest thing is, every year you talk about injuries and we've got to get by that. And, we're trying to make sure that we're deep enough to get by those injuries. And with all the experience that they had last year and getting in and out of games, I think it helped them out drastically. All of our positions this year, instead of going in, you have one kid for this position, and then all of a sudden it's a domino effect. You got to move. If somebody gets hurt, one kid goes here, this kid gets moved from here. I hate that because it's hard to be really consistent whenever you're moving them in every different position there is.
All right. So let's talk about your opponents. Who's in your district and what do you think they're going to look like on the field in the fall?
Well, Rogers, I think they've been in our district for forever, but Rogers, they're always going to be tough. Coach always has them playing hard. They're always good up front in what they do. Defensively, they tend to give us some fits also. So we just have to make sure that we're ready whenever they come over here this year. You got Buffalo in our district also. I think they're a team that's kind of at that point where they had a new coach last year, and he got them playing also. There's a couple of wild cards because there's two new coaches in the district in Florence and Elkhart, and then of course Clifton. It's going to be his second year of being the head guy, and I think they do a really good job there. So our district, I think overall, I think our district will be up a little bit from what it was last year, just because of some of the coaching is going to be a little bit more consistent at the top.
Now, you've been around coaching for a few years. What would you say the biggest challenge facing high school athletics in Texas right now is?
I think there's a sense of entitlement that we've gained, that we've put in our kids in our society. And I think there's a lot of times you can pay and go be on a select, team in whatever sport it is. And because of that, that gains you playing time. And then when it comes to the reality and whatever happens in an everyday setting, you got to try to go earn that spot. And a lot of times you can work your tail off and put everything you have in it, and it still is not good enough at the end of the day. And that's life in general. But we've taught them, and we've protected them so much at a younger age that we hadn't taught them how to fail. We hadn't taught them how to be just a part of a team. We haven't taught them how to be understand your role on a team. And I think that's the biggest challenge that I face, or we face in our profession, is making kids understand everybody's got their role on the team. Can't everybody be the big dog? And now that's not to say you don't work, but you got to work your tail off and hope that everything works out in your favor. And when it doesn't, you can't quit and get your head down.
All right, so let's go from big picture to small picture. Try and learn a little bit about Kirk Muhl. What would you say your number one guilty pleasure is? I get probably my kids. I spend a lot of time with my kids when I'm not working. I'm with my 4 kids, and lots of family time. I guess is probably my biggest thing that I like. How hard is it to keep discipline and diet with Snow's Barbecue right down the street?
Oh, it's extremely hard because, and 2 of my kids, they work down there on Saturdays too, so it's real hard to unless you're on the carnivore diet or you're on the Atkins or something like that. Then it becomes a little bit easier because then you can eat you can eat all the meat you want down there.
All right, Coach. Well, thank you very much for your time today. Best of luck as you go through the summer and into the 23 season.
Thank you. You have a good day.
LoneStarGridiron.com. Access the complete history of Texas high school football, over 100 years of information, win-loss records, coaching histories, individual stats, records, and more. Lone Star Gridiron, the authority on Texas high school football.